tonight.
Good.
Good.
All right, so just the two of you that are on right now. And
Who's that?
it's Mike Zielinski and Fire Chief Tom Stasinski. We can start in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Sound good.
Okay.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Mike, how you doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Seems weird doing it this way, huh?
A little bit, but I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, good, good.
Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine too also, Sue.
Okay, because we don't have the mics on yet, so that's why I was wondering.
Oh, yeah, you're coming in clear.
Great.
Is this summer interns for building? Is that for Heritage?
Becky, and is the other one that's
No,
joined so far?
because Heritage is
And
all
Mike
down here.
and Tom.
Tom and Becky both muted themselves.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
I'm
a
just
good
writing
question.
down on here who's joined, so.
It should be Zyler hiring. For,
It should be.
Why isn't it?
Because this is the way we've always done it.
That scares the shit out of me. They're not
Yeah.
village employees yet. We're hiring them.
In this case, they would be village employees. Which then causes a separate conflict of interest as to why we won't have village-paid employees over at Heritage when everybody else is union.
Becky's sick today, so she's not here. So I just grabbed whoever sent me payroll stuff. When it's necessary.
It's not. Why are we hiring temps for Heritage?
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to just decide for one guy. I want to have a discussion here. You know, I personally think, you know, I know.
Shouldn't
No,
Zyler
but
be
like
doing
his
that?
point is everybody else is hired through Zyler. I mean, they're hired through Zyler. So why would we
Would you
be
happen to know
hiring
what
village
the URL is for
Can Zyler be
email,
doing
like
that?
employees that
remote
we
access?
control
'Cause they used
to
to be
work
saved
over
here, but someone
there?
cleared the
It's a
cache.
conflict.
We haven't given them.
Is it like
we haven't
voa.org?
given them authority yet.
Okay.
I mean, I know on regular heritage and stuff, you know, but the money ultimately is still.
Man, they messed me up.
Yeah, but it's just a point of the summer
See if I can
helpers.
find it.
They're not part of the union.
I
They're
know,
not
but
part of it. They're not under Zyler, and so
It'd still be us increasing our budget to do that, to accommodate that.
I'm not worried about that part of it. It's anything
it's the
that comes
hiring
after
part,
that.
right? I understand his concern,
Yeah, and obviously Roger always oversaw that and stuff.
which we don't want him over there doing that.
Like I said, we haven't changed it over yet, and I'm all for it. I'm with it. We just haven't done it.
But at the same time, I mean, since all the landscape, we just awarded, the landscape contract. What do we need that many people to do that isn't already being done by the full-time employees?
Personally, I was telling Mark for that. Personally, I want to try and, finance equipment for a guy. I don't see the necessity for scanning.
No.
But public
Mayor
works,
can wait.
Public Works is down 2 guys. right now.
Public Works, I can
Working
totally
on
agree
it.
with. Yep.
We're not going to see him for 6 or 8 months.
Right. Totally agree with that
So I
one.
want to get 2 to 4 guys over there. Just maybe even give him 2 extra. He's got 2 to fill the hole, but maybe 2 extra guys. That kind of thing.
Mayor, I'm gonna
But
turn the
anybody
mics
else,
on.
I don't see
No, I
the
agree.
need at this point
I
in
just
time.
didn't want to segregate, make it just my decision. I wanted to-
Yeah, no, totally. And Mike was the only one that submitted a justification.
Right,
We are recording.
okay. Just take a quick look. Let me bring in Brian Liston.
What's that?
I want to bring a couple more guys in on this real quick.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers, do you hear me? Is there the sound turned off?
Mark Rogers?
Roger? Roger. How are you, Phil? Brian Liston, too. Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mayor. Good to see you.
You also. What's with the beard? You don't go to the office no more, or what, huh?
Reliving my youth.
All right. I talked to Jim Hayes the other day. He said he'd talk with you. He's a good guy.
They're a huge wrestling team. They wrestle at Carmel.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to get our meetings.
Back at the Battle of Verdun in World War I, where 350,000 Americans died.
Wow.
All total, there was 1 million men injured. The number one form of anesthesia was amputation.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, they thought they would end the world, so everybody like taught, put on the webinar for the back zones and stuff.
Okay.
We'll get through this.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you. I'm going to get my meeting started. Thanks, Brian.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I wanted to make sure I kept you in touch. I'll introduce you when the time comes.
All right, great.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip Committee meeting. Today is April 27th, 2020. We'll call this meeting order at 7:32. Can you call the roll, please?
Yes, Trustee Dalzell.
Here.
Trustee Zelinski.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Trustee Zelinski has joined via Zoom meeting this evening. Trustee Juarez.
She's not out here.
I believe Trustee Juarez is absent this evening. We will notify you if she does join later. Trustee McLaughlin.
Here.
Trustee Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Nava-Esparza. Here. Mayor Ryan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would just like to remind everybody here that's present in the boardroom to please speak up clearly and as close as possible to the microphone so we make sure that everybody can hear.
Right here.
Is there a mic to get closer to the computer, just in case the people can't? Oh,
There you go.
there you go.
Very good. All right, officers' reports, starting with myself. A couple of quick notes. Just so to make the board aware, and obviously the public as well, too. I've had many requests for masks on behalf of the village, and unfortunately, there just is not resources at this time for the public for us to spare anything that we have in our inventory. So unfortunately, this is something that everyone needs to seek out. I have been getting multiple, obviously everyone's seen them in different capacities with how to make a mask, and we might tape something just to remind folks, at least through social media, or maybe we can put something on our website, how they can make their own if they wish. There was a bunch of information, like I say, you see it on social media all the time, and I've had some other sources send me some information as well then too. So we do what we can, but unfortunately we just don't have the resources to afford to the public. I did hear with some of the mandatory masking right now, like over in Oak Lawn, my son said he went over to Mariano's the other day and didn't have a mask with him. It's $2 to walk in Mariano's. They sell you a mask to get in their store now and stuff then too. So one-time mask.
I heard the same about Menards as well. They sell you masks as well if you don't have one. Some
Yeah.
stores are doing that.
Exactly. So I'm looking in that, and I had a couple of friends suggest that we can show folks how to make them. I know the Surgeon General did a real easy one with a couple of rubber bands. It worked great and everything then too. So we'll look at that. Next, I just want to let everybody know that Human Resources, myself, and our legal department are in the process right now of, we need to review our employee handbook at the request of our liability carrier, Euclid Insurance. They want to have us approve our handbook for any changes by May 1st when the new policy kicks in place. So we're working on that right now. And there was a couple of memos that came across today that a judge did, the Illinois Workers' Compensation Commission on Monday repealed a controversial emergency rule stating that if frontline workers get infected with COVID-19, it would be presumed to be the result of their work duties. And I guess the judge has issued a temporary restraining order blocking that rule temporarily until they found out more information as far as that's concerned. I know this was big with the, let's see which organization was it. There was the Manufacturers Association and the Illinois Retail Merchants Association as well. Also, got a memo today that everyone may be aware of that, actually I walked out and forgot some of my stuff I printed. Obviously, they're extending the stay-at-home order until May 30th, so we're going to be another month into the stay-at-home order. At this time, the Village of Alsip is still going to have its front doors closed to the public until further notice. Again, we want to, not that we have to, I've actually had a couple of mayors call and say that they may open their doors back up to the public again yet too. So it really needs to be evaluated before we do that. And everything we've been told, this is peaking right now, so I'm not sure if it's the right time. Maybe another couple of weeks before we talk about it again then too. They also said that as of May 1st, next weekend, Illinois is going to allow golfing again. So with a lot of restrictions, a couple of things just to your, I call it goofing, not golfing, but you know what I mean, for your strong golfer, in addition to general social distancing standards set forth in the stay-at-home order, players are going to be grouped in twosomes with 15-minute intervals between tee times, no handshakes, no practice ranges, no chipping greens.
No practice ranges?
Nope. No golf carts can be used, either owned by the club or privately owned, except individuals with disabilities. Only privately owned pull carts may be utilized. Rental pull carts from the course will not be allowed. And they're asking that you elevate the cup. They're asking that all the golf courses actually install styrofoam at the bottom of the cup so that the ball doesn't go so far in, and that they don't want you taking a flag out either. Flag has to stay no matter what.
One play.
I'm telling you, the State of Illinois Department of Commerce put this out. Flags cannot be removed from the cup. Clubhouses and halfway houses are down. No cart person with beverages.
Forget it.
And just the only other thing on here was golfers must walk and carry their own clubs. And Trustee Murphy, no caddies. Okay.
Oh, come on.
You know, you got to have rules. So.
It's a good workout. Come on.
Yeah. And golfers, Trustee Dalzell, golfers have to pick up their own ball too. All right.
Even when you lose it?
I'm just telling you. I'm just sharing it.
Wade into the water by yourself.
So, and leave the flag in place. There's a big thing on the flag. And once again, no handshakes at the beginning or at the end of the 18 holes. That's it. So, and then the last thing I had here too was, in lieu of the governor is implementing the mandatory mask as of May 1st for all communities. The board has already approved an action where I can declare an action at this time for all of Alsip to acknowledge the governor's request to have protective face coverings required by all persons in our community. And while I've got a sample draft that the Illinois Municipal League sent over to all the towns, the board, or I'll send this to our legal team if we need it, but the board did already approve allowing me to take action as needed during this COVID-19 pandemic. Next I had on your agendas was a request to approve an amendment to the village committee meeting schedule for for the summer of 2020. And what I'm asking is to eliminate the first committee meeting of each month, starting in May through August. And committee issues may still be addressed, obviously, at any board meeting. And this amendment will offer the trustees an opportunity to consolidate presentations as necessary. I just picked out the second meeting of the month. I'm sorry, it'd be our first committee meeting, but in between two meetings, sometimes we get an opportunity to stretch out that last one. But did anyone have any opinion on it? Did anybody?
My only concern would be that should we get the opportunity to come in and sign off on bills so that we're not hit with any late charges from any vendor?
I think it's just a great practice to, I can have Becky remind everybody when you got bills in the bucket to be signed.
Maybe just an email saying, they're in the mailbox.
Right.
You come in at your leisure and sign off on them.
How about if we do this? How about, obviously, the department heads know when they're putting stuff in your mailboxes. How about we just remind the department heads to send you a note that you've got bills in the box to be approved?
Perhaps it should be everybody because they require 2 signatures and people are on multiple committees.
Right.
I mean, the issue is that we went back and forth with this before when we toned down the number of meetings, and then we started falling behind on the logistics of processing these bills. Mm-hmm. So my fear is that if we go ahead and we do that, then it's the same thing. And what are we gaining, really?
I felt, as far as, by consolidating the meetings, by reducing one, it's the summer months. I know sometimes you run into vacation schedules and so forth.
If you're not here, you're not here.
Yeah. And the other was, as far as project, to me, it does make a difference. I was just trying to simplify life a little bit here and so forth, that's all, to consolidate. I've been speaking to a lot of the other mayors, and we are kind of a rare group where we've got 4 meetings a month. A lot of places have less, but it depends on need, too. We're a busy community. We've been doing a lot of things there.
I have no problem coming in to sit there and address the bills, and we came up with a methodology in order to do that and sign off on it and put it to the collective box for the counter signature on it. And, it worked as long as people did those things. So.
Okay. You guys probably can't hear Trustee Dalzell, but he was saying that he didn't have a problem coming in to sign off on bills, but that is going to be, Trustee Murphy pointed out, that is always the problem, Trustee Zelinski, that we run into here is making sure we're signing bills in a timely fashion. So if we consolidate our schedule to reduce by 1 meeting, we do have to stay up on the fact that we're obviously responsible for approving bills in a timely fashion.
Hey, Mayor,
Yeah.
I've come in the last 2 Sundays and took care of any bills that were in box 39, so, I have no problem coming in on an off day and signing bills before the meeting.
Okay.
I can attest to Trustee Zelinski's signature on all kinds of bills.
Okay.
And I can attest that I ran into him yesterday while I was here as well.
Okay. Well, I'll have it on the agenda next week then, asking if the board's in favor of.
So the schedule that I had routed and we had included in the packet is the one that you want to go with?
That's what I'm saying, unless anybody had any,
My
okay.
only comment would be doing the one at the end of June, that's the beginning of 4th of July week. Some people may be off or whatever, I don't know. In the past, when it's been kind of a random
Where are you going
day.
to go?
I'm hoping, hope springs eternal, just a thought,
Okay.
doesn't make a difference either way to me.
All right, and then second on the agenda, I've got a request to approve a Class 6B tax assessment for LA Truck Repair, LLC, located, its new location will be 11659 to 11701 South Mayfield, PIN number 24-20-400-11, and the second PIN was 24-20-403, and that number didn't shake. It must be a typo. I have 00. There should be probably something else with that. We'll get that corrected before the next meeting. But I do have Brian Liston is on our Zoom meeting this evening. Brian is a tax attorney with Liston. And Brian, how do you say the other part of your...
It's great.
Santillis, there you go, thank you. And Brian's here. Actually, I've met this organization. This property is it's a good piece of property on Mayfield Street, formerly owned by Swanson Contracting. They were like a railroad contractor. Roger Early's in the audience this evening as well too, and it's a good piece of land. Roger, I didn't want to read off all of the restrictions and caveats from the planning and zoning meeting, but do you want to elaborate on any of it?
Just that the board actually, one of the stipulations would be that they provide the asphalt within a year. If you guys agree to that, drainage, they did have some other stipulations, but those were the two key ones, I do believe. And then the tank, they've got a underground storage, or I'm sorry, an above ground storage tank, which they are going to continue to use, so they will get that certified before. And then also the staircasing off of the back of the building at 11701 Mayfield, they have to bring that up to code. Other than that, it was a decent meeting, moved right through it, and they had some stipulations, but those are the key ones.
So the biggest key, in my opinion, how much asphalt does he need to do? How much? In other words, he's asking for a year. Is that a lot of asphalt?
There's a lot of asphalt there, and they're going to have to cut across the street in order to tie into the sewers for drainage.
Okay.
Well, we're planning on doing that, Mayor.
Okay. And you're asking, Brian, you're asking for a year to get that done?
Yeah.
Okay.
We, I mean, we're bringing 10 new jobs on meeting the living wage, and we just were excited to be in Alsip, and to do it over 9 to 18 months, because we just want to make sure that we can get it done in the summer. If it has to be prolonged, then we'll do it especially. Jim Wayner's doing the improvements on the building. It's going to be about $200,000 of improvements, and we're just excited. You know, we had a smaller leased facility in Alsip, and we've had a great relationship here for the last, almost 20 years, and now we want to expand and put our facility here. It's just, the timing is perfect.
They've also done an amazing job on their new building off 120th. We've done great working with them, so I don't see any issues with this project moving forward.
Exactly. And I was just going to mention, just so the board's aware, that one of the owners is Louis, from Louis' Truck, who just put up that brand new building on West 120th Street. Did a great job developing a raw piece of property. Nothing was ever developed there prior, but it's a nice piece of property. Great job he did on that as well too. So this is the same Louis. I don't know if he's the singular, but he is one of the owners going in there and stuff then too.
Correct.
Any issues? Anything you want to bring up, or? Okay.
Nope.
Are there any outside permits required?
They will have to go before MWRD because it is more than half of an acre.
So
it's going to take them a little bit of time.
Yeah, and that was what we ran into before with 124th and Cicero,
right,
where that thing kept on getting dragged out.
Exactly. Go ahead, Brian. What are you going to say?
We know that. We're just, we've outgrown our current facility, and, we're just excited to be in Alsip, and, we're working through some other improvements and repairs and so on the other facility that we did. One of the things is that we had to put, even though initially it was in the construction, we needed a lot of topsoil for support, and even though it overran on the budget, one thing that they said, we're going to be with Mayor Ryan, and we're going to be in Alsip, and we want to do business. So sometimes that scares guys away. They said, we want to be with Mayor Ryan. So.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Brian.
For the record, the second pin is 24-20-403-001.
One, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else with a question? Okay, none right now. Thank you again, Brian, for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Mayor. Stay safe, stay strong.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, and we'll put this on the agenda next week. Okay.
Roger, if you can you give me a call later this week?
I certainly will.
Yeah,
Thanks so much. Thanks for everything, guys.
Okay.
Have a great week.
You too.
Bye.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Presentation and approval of the October 14th, 2019 committee meeting minutes, and that is all, Mayor Ryan.
All right, thank you. We don't have anybody in the audience tonight except for Roger Early from our building commissioner, so.
It's all yours, Roger.
Okay, no comment, all right. No report. Next is the standing committee report, Finance Committee, Trustee McLaurin.
I will have the usual list of payroll and accounts payable for approval next week. And then also the finance director has requested one full-time temporary summer employee to work 40 hours a week for a maximum of 14 weeks, if fiscally feasible. At this point, I have no substantiation or background as to anything behind this request. So I don't know, Mayor, if he's talked to you about it?
Yeah, he did. He wanted, one of the goals of the finance department right now, aside from budgets and so forth, is we're trying to empty out the storage garage out across the parking lot. And one of the things that it's probably last year or the year before, we bought that oversized printer. We've had a lot of scanning going on, and he was actually looking for someone to continue with the scanning to try and keep progressively emptying out that garage. And that was one of his, Roger, that's why I understood that. Did you get the same thing?
Well, he's going to use the scanner that's upstairs. I'm sorry.
You might as well just stay there, Roger.
Yes,
I believe his intention is to use the scanner that's upstairs. I've got the two scanners, actually three scanners down in the building department, the one larger one, and then the two that do the regular sheets of paper. But I believe, and that same is what he reiterated to me, was he was looking to have some scanning done and clean up the garage.
And just so
it's a huge task.
Just so all the trustees understand, and anybody that's listening to on our line tonight, I told all the department heads that were looking for part-time summer help at $11 an hour, just to place it on the agenda for the board to qualify. There are some things which, let's put it this way, in a budget crunch like we're in right now, I don't want to spend any additional money right now, but at the same time, one thing, that's why I had told Trustee McLaurin right before the meeting started, was I wanted the board to weigh in on whether or not, at a cost of $11 an hour and no benefits being used, to let the board weigh in on whether or not you felt it was a necessity. That's all. I will say, we can go, when we get to each one, we can speak to, I will speak to Public Works, and Public Works did say that they have two men down right now. They're going to be a workman comp for at least another 6 or 8 months, so he's at least 2 guys down, so he at least needs 2 people there, if not 4, in that department. And so he wanted 6, and I asked him to scale it down to 4, and I believe that's what he's got on here. Roger can speak to his when we get to it and so forth, but as far as having part-time temporary help for the summer, I told everybody to let the board weigh in on it, and that's why it's on your agendas this evening. So, anybody else have a question on it?
I mean, the dollar
Does
amount.
the finance director think that they'll be done scanning this year?
I think it's hard to say. You're talking, there's literally decades worth of stuff out in that garage. So I think it's going to be a progressive effort, but I think he will spend the entire summer working on it, yes.
Okay.
Trustee Dalzell, you're going to say something?
I'm saying that the dollar amount is minimal, and when you consider that expense, although I agree with Trustee McLaurin, is that it would be nice to have a piece of paper indicating what the job tasks are going to be.
Excuse me, Mayor, we can't hear on this end here.
No problem. What Trustee Dalzell was saying was that he just was looking for basically a list of work that would be performed by the part-time summer help. So I'll ask Mr. Alvin to supply that to everybody, so that you've got that before the next meeting.
Well, the reason I asked too is because for the last 2 years they've had somebody scanning, and I just didn't know how many summers he thought might have to be used for this.
There's quite a bit. Hopefully he gets through this pretty soon, but yeah.
Well, we haven't had anybody in finance. The scanning has been going on in building.
And the other aspect of it, too, is that if we ever reached out for a third-party vendor to find out about having this work performed off-site.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Just to do the building department, we were at $1.2 million to $1.7 million.
That's all?
That's all.
Okay.
So I think it would be definitely cheaper for us to do it in-house.
Yeah.
But how many documents are you talking about in building?
A whole lot.
You got all those plans.
There's
and
over
everything,
351 boxes just along the back wall.
All like banker boxes.
All banker boxes loaded with.
Over 351 is what Roger's saying.
Was this quote from the guy from Laserfish?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Was this quote from the guy from Laserfish?
One that he recommended, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember, it wasn't on, there's a few IT companies that came out. I don't remember off the top of my head the name of them. I can definitely get them to you.
All right.
And again, I'll ask Kent Olivan to supply everybody a list of what he was looking for on there yet, too.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm not even sure, with the village hall being closed, what our level of industry is for our people. So is it something that, you know, maybe others have some downtime that they can...
Somebody can be scanning in their free time.
Yeah, and it's not like it's hard work. Tedious.
Right.
But we're scanning into Laserfish, and Laserfish has a lot of efficiencies built into it to categorize the type of the documents, and so it's a lot simpler than what it was many, many years ago. So I just, and again, I don't see the day-to-day operations, but...
No, and at the same time, if the stay-at-home order is now extended through the end of May, I mean, the last thing I want to be doing is bringing in any extra bodies when, at a point in time where we're encouraging people to socially distance, and the village hall is closed to the public. I don't see it at this point in time.
Right, but I mean, I suspect that we could set a scanning station up to be socially distanced, and, you know, I mean, you got 2 workstation tables right here that would be pretty simple to create a scanning station, too.
Right, that's all I have under finance.
Okay, thank you.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Frater has joined the Zoom meeting at 7:58 p.m.
Next on the agenda was the Fire Committee, Trustee Murphy.
Under fire, we have discussion for the signing of the new IGA with the Illinois Department of Health and Family Services. This is for the ground emergency medical transport, and joining us via Zoom is Chief Szynski.
Can you hear him, Chief?
Yep, you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine.
All right. Hello, everybody. The GEMT we signed last year is to collect more money from Medicaid patients and Medicare. Last year, through the government, they were going through the central management services. For whatever reason, they decided to change it to Health and Human Services instead. So it is a new agreement. It does bring in money. We already brought in $60,000 for, I think, the end of 2019, which was actually only a month. Especially now with everything that's going on in COVID and what it's going to, what kind of an impact it's going to be with our village as well as everybody else. It's one of the things we need to keep moving forward with. So it's just a new agreement with a different part of the state who's managing it, that's all.
And exactly, the Chief explained that to me before. It's the same thing we've done prior. We're just using a different organization, Chief, that's all we're doing, right?
Right, so it's all changes. It's just a different part of the state association or whatever. It's changing from one end to the other to manage it. That's all.
Okay.
And that's all I have under fire. Any questions for the Chief?
No question. Apparently no questions, Chief. So,
all right, thank you very much.
Again, thank you as well. Next, we have the Police and Traffic Safety, Trustee Dalzell.
No report.
Trustee, I did want to share with you, I did meet with all the department heads regarding the additional cuts that we may need to consider at our budget
and Chief Miller did do a nice job of submitting a budget revision to his budget. And so I appreciate the chief's efforts. I did meet with him on that, and again, I think he did a real nice job on his.
Yeah, it was, obviously, he put a lot of effort in that.
Yes. Next was the Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
Either Trustee McLaughlin or Trustee Murphy, please.
Okay. Under Public Works, request for approval to hire 4 Public Works temporary full-time summer laborers at $11 per hour each, up to 10 weeks. Each at a cost not to exceed $17,600. And number 2 is a request for approval to hire 1 temporary part-time boat launch attendant at $11 per hour from May 21st through September 29th, working 20 hours per week at a cost not to exceed $4,180. And that's all I have under boat launch and Public Works, sir.
So,
Mr. Frater want to
I
say
did.
anything?
Mike Frater, can you hear me?
11.
Yeah, say it, Mike. Oh, you did drop off. Okay, he was on there. Anyway, Board, I want to speak to both of these real quick. I did speak with Superintendent Frater, and again, with regard to his request for 4, he's sending me a text message here instead. Maybe he got cut off here.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here. Let me just see.
I just want to clarify, though, it's 10 weeks each, not a cost of $17,600 each. $17,600 is the total cost.
Okay, so Mr. Frater just sent me a note. He said, sorry, having trouble with the Zoom connection, so I'll get back with him later on that then, too. But anyway, he had asked, as I said a few minutes ago, he's got 2 employees right now down on workman comp, and they're going to be out for the next 6 to 8 months. Mike did ask for 6 extra helpers. I asked him to scale it back to 4 in lieu of budget constraints, and certainly it's up to the board if you wish to go back to the 6, but that's where Mike was at originally with his request. Also, on the number 2, from what I understand, Vic Volpe retired this year, who used to work at the boat launch. So I asked Mike if maybe we could just ask Sherman, I forgot Sherman's last name, but he worked there last year, if he would work, and he said he would, and we're going to work I asked if he'd work the launch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, be from 10 until 2 in the afternoon, kind of like prime time where people might drop their boats in the water. And Mike said he spoke with Sherman, so I'm assuming he agreed to it. We've got this. I didn't hear anything come back. So, again, we are talking about affordable temporary help. Did the board wish to, or Trustee Murphy, I guess I should defer to you. You're on that committee. Did you want to push that to 6, or did you want to? It was just my suggestion at 4. Did you want to go back to 6?
It would depend on the need, truthfully.
He's down 2 full-time guys, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, 2 is a no-brainer right off the bat.
You know, let me put Mr. Frater, he had a hard time getting on here. Let me just put him on speaker. Let me have Mike speak to her here real quick, okay? Hey, Mike. So you called right in time. We're talking about your summer help, and and let me put you on speaker, sir. We can hear you, okay? Okay. Okay, can you hear me, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mike, what I was telling everybody was you had asked for 6 part-time summer helpers. I asked you to scale it down to 4 just for budget concerns. I'm asking the board right now if they do want to reconsider the 6 instead. One of the trustees just asked if you can tell us briefly what's the need for 4 or 6. Where did you want to go with that many people?
Again, 6 is what we typically look to bring in each summer. I understand with, the budget and trying to find ways to cut back. I mean, I would be happy to take anything I can get because I am going to be down 2 full-time employees for the next 6 to 8 months. Of course, summer is very busy for us. There's a lot of the essential services and core services that we're looking to provide during the summer. So the manpower, I'd be grateful to have 6. And again, we usually look for 14 weeks, but realistically 10 weeks, because a lot of them probably will be going back to school at some point towards the end of August. So 10 weeks is sufficient enough for my department. And again, 4 to 6, I'm happy with 4. We'll be able to still get a lot done, but if the board is considering that they'll allow 6, I would be grateful for that.
Okay. Any project in particular you're trying to tackle?
I mean, the biggest thing for us during the summer is always going to be the grass cutting and the weed whipping. That takes a lot of our time and manpower during the summer. So that, and then again, just doing a lot of the street and shoulder repairs throughout town.
Okay. And I did just explain, I wanted to just confirm with you, we talked about Vic Volpe retired from the boat launch, and is Sherman okay working that we talked about?
Yes.
Okay. What's Sherman's last name again?
Baker.
Baker, thank you. Okay, well, that's what I just said, Thursday through Sunday, maybe 10 till 2?
Yeah, actually, we would probably look to have them start earlier in the day. A lot of the boaters seem to go out earlier in the morning. So realistically, the start time would probably be 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's fine, just so we got some people, we have some, I like to have some either, at least till a little bit after lunch, because I know a lot of guys, between 10 and 12 is when they throw their boats in too. Any recreational guys do anyway, so.
Yeah, and so far we opened April 1st, and as of last week, I think we had already taken in over $800.
Wow. Okay.
In fees. So I would expect that the boat launch will be busy this summer.
Good to hear. And Mike, do we have any projects planned for boat launch maintenance for the summer?
Other than just the general grass cutting each week, we're going to try to repaint some more for the parking stripes out there.
Okay.
I believe we've caught up on most of the painting. So the docks and the facility itself.
Right. Our docks are all squared away this year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And we just recently replaced all the public boat launch signs that are posted down on 127th and Laramie. Those have all been replaced and upgraded.
Sounds good. Anybody have any questions for Mike?
How many employees does he have out there? I mean, given the social distancing aspect of it, so if they're out there operating the trimmers or the lawnmowers, I get that, but I'm assuming that these guys, other than for lawn maintenance, can't work of their own. They have to be associated with somebody else. So, Trustee,
did you hear Trustee Dalzell, Mike?
No, sorry, I did not.
You were just asking, how many guys do you have out working right now?
Right now, we are at 8 full-time guys.
Okay.
On the streets now, yeah.
Okay, and aside from the grass cutting, obviously you're not on top of each other running weed whippers and things like that. Are we going to be able to work and get projects done? I know you can't get, my brother's in the trades, he's working shoulder to shoulder with guys all day long, setting glass. Are we going to be able to do this safely with having more personnel?
Yeah, no, we've already worked on plans. We'll continue to do the social distancing and practices that we're already implementing with the additional bringing in summer helpers. The biggest thing would be taking them to job sites in a vehicle, in which case they will wear, face masks. But once we're actually out in the field, on the streets, performing work, we're not on top of each other by any means.
Is that kind of where you were going, Trustee, with that?
Exactly, yeah, thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
All right, is that it?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So just to clarify, he's looking for 6?
Yes.
We're considering 4,
Yes.
but he's down 2, and he normally has 6.
Yes.
So he's
And
still...
for a longer period of time over the summer for more.
Well, now it's 10 weeks instead of longer. Is that...
Right.
Okay. So he's still down 2 for the year when you compare this year to last year?
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, it'd be your prerogative what you want to, or Trustee Juarez, but if you wish, then, you got an explanation from him if you want.
Well, the way I look at it is the kids are going to be going back to school, hopefully, after 10 weeks, which would cut the summer short. He's short 2 people from last year already. It's $11 an hour with no benefits, give him the 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
There is quite a bit of work, and I'm glad he touched on it, too. In certain parts of town, they do a nice job every summer, but a lot of the shoulders need repairing. The shoulders are really getting beat up. The neighborhoods that don't have curbs, the shoulders are beat. And that can be an entire summer just trying to fix those kind of things yet, too. So, and in fact, I just witnessed a couple water main breaks recently, and I don't know why, but how about it? Doesn't seem like a lot more all near the curb all the time lately. I haven't seen a lot of curbs getting cut up real bad, shoulders, I should say, getting cut up real bad lately and stuff. So, anyway, yeah, I would agree with you then. Trustee, I would ask that you go back to, if you want to put 6 on there for a request, okay?
I would.
Would you please instruct Mr. Frater then to update the request and for 6 and correct the dollar amount for the agenda for next week? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Or you can fix it in some minutes.
Next was the sewer and water, Trustee Nava Esparza.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Okay. Trustee, I know Danny Tribin's been on vacation. He had a lot of time he had to use, and I asked him to get his time taken care of. But he did stop in the other day. Friday, he was in the office for a couple minutes, and we're getting very close to finally getting that number. Actually, he wanted to put it on this agenda. He might have to push it back one more. He wants to go out to bid to replace that water main on Pulaski and Springfield Street on 125th. So Dan said he's got more interest from more contractors. He's got about 6 contractors that want to bid on this thing, but he didn't have his spec quite ready just yet. But that will be coming back up real quick then too. So I told him as soon as it's ready, to let you know and stuff then too. Okay.
Thank you.
Next, the Building and Health, Trustee Zelinski.
I have a discussion to hire 3 full-time temporary summer personnel building department employees to work 40 hours a week for a maximum of 14 weeks at $11 per hour. If fiscally feasible due to the possible reduced revenue as a result of COVID-19. That's all I have under building.
And Trustee Rogers here to speak to that as well too. So, did you have a particular task for these people too?
Again, they would just be scanning at this point, and then also if it exceeds the 10 weeks, I would, if feasible, in the wintertime, bring those same employees back for their 2 or 3 weeks. That's why I left it at the 14 weeks, just to give some dust in between there. Mm-hmm. But typically, I would give them the 10 weeks, and then when they come back, or possibly bring them back in December when they're on winter break, just to continue the scanning.
Did you already saying, Trustee Zelinski?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Roger? Okay. Next, the Human Resource and Insurance Committee, Trustee Murphy.
No report, Mayor.
Okay. And then, as I said before, Trustee, I'm sorry, we've been, Shanae Hunter has been working with one of our attorneys, Beth Addard, on that handbook, and so we're supposed to have that completed by the end of the week for the insurance purposes yet too. And we did identify a couple of issues that were in there that I'll bring to the board's attention once we have legal double check and see what if we're clear on if we can make an adjustment to that language. That's all.
Great.
Next, we have the special committee reports. Economic Development, Trustee Nava-Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. Just based on the discussions that we've had about temporary staff and also with interns, I plan to submit a request for the economic development intern, and it was to target a graduate student with a background either in urban planning or public administration, budgeted not to exceed 300 hours. And I do have a job description that I did draft that I can submit to
Mayor,
the board.
we can hear.
That I can submit to the board.
One second, I'll tell you. Go ahead.
So then, ideally, the tasks that the individual would work on include research, also perhaps developing a business survey, especially now with what's happening with COVID to see, the impact in that. Also perhaps being a liaison for census questions that community residents might have. I'll take a pause if, I'm not sure if he heard me or not.
Okay.
My first question, though, would be, who is this intern going to report to?
They would work out of the mayor's office, so reporting to the mayor.
I've actually got that. What she was saying, Trustee Zelinski, was that we're discussing temporary help, summer help, and whatnot, and Trustee Nava-Esparza had already spoke with the board previously about bringing on a summer intern for economic development, and we did budget $3,600 for that. That is still in the budget for right now, and everyone got a copy of that today electronically. Trustee Zelinski, there's a copy on your desk here. I'll ask somebody to throw it in your mailbox for you, and then like a hard copy. But that is still in there, and that person would answer to my office and so forth. Becky Smith is still a great point of contact as well, but no, we can certainly coordinate that effort for economic development.
And what was job duties for this intern too?
I'm trying to focus on, well, first off, I'm trying to focus on marketing more of Cicero Avenue and finding more so what we can do with Cicero Avenue right now. It would be, I think we've done quite a bit with Pulaski, but there might still be some work to be done with some of the Pulaski, how should I say, efforts, because we do have, right now with the way the restaurant industry is, well, they might have bought the property, and we've got a redevelopment agreement. It's going to be kind of hard to make them put a shovel in the ground immediately, so we may have to have somebody monitor that a little bit, too, for us at the same time. So I know we were hung up a little bit on parking issues, and Roger and I felt it was a matter of really on its interpretation of parking, because parking is really decided by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So, and they can make that happen to accommodate accordingly and stuff based on square footage. But according to our ordinance book, the Planning and Zoning Commission determines parking for restaurants.
And also just working on like a vacancy survey as well. Just speaking with Mary Schmidt, she mentioned updating a database and so forth in coordination with the chamber as well. Just when we're being contacted by businesses, for potential sites, and they're looking at outdated information, it'd be great to have up-to-date available properties or understanding what properties are vacant in regards to commercial.
Could you hear that, Trustee Zelinski?
Not at all.
Okay, what she was saying was the other benefit to an intern like this would be that we can actually assign the person to update our vacancies as far as industrial properties and purposes yet then too, because we do have quite a bit of turnover, and we've actually spoken to a lot of people that we had a couple of things in play that kind of fell apart, and not for even a bad reason. It was just repurposed, and we had a couple ideas that went the other way. I can't speak to it just yet because they're in the middle of signing those papers almost right now yet too. But we do have a couple of businesses that myself and Roger and some of the department heads were trying to help increase their business, expand, and we were able to make that happen. Matter of fact, we had a great meeting not too long ago with that the fishery place, and they're in with the Department of Agriculture right now and trying to get some stuff done too. So, no, it's a great. It's not a large expense. It is a summer intern, and aside from just an intern, isn't going to necessarily. You'd love to see him hit a home run if possible, but more importantly is we need somebody that tracks the properties and maybe gives us more insight as to who may be interested in certain properties at the same time, that can work with let's say real estate agents and so forth. I get calls almost every day from different realtors, and we can have somebody actually work with them more directly than me. I've got plenty on my plate already.
And I could provide a job description as well. I think I have in the past, but if not, I will have one.
Okay.
So they're going to report these vacancies to you?
Yes.
I can't hear him.
And you're going to pair them up with people that, I mean, obviously, there's people coming to you asking for, you know, any vacant property. I'm sure there's someone in the industrial area. One person that comes to mind is like Arnie Frank or someone that actually know what's actually available already.
Right. Whereas somebody can monitor the available properties that are out there. I mean, real estate companies do that all the time, but at the same time, when it comes to us and people want to look at the idea, I mean, I take calls all day long. I field things like requests for 6Bs and so forth like that, but at the same time, you know, in other words, to benefit us as well as people that are speaking to the chamber, you have to have an accurate count of available properties all the time here, too. I don't know that we have that always. I would think we're very close, but, and again, you know, realtors marketing a property, so you know what's available and what isn't. But for our benefit, like right now, I don't know how many people have called in. It's tapered off a little bit, but on the cannabis, you know, as far, how about it, Roger? How many of those do we take all the time? I still get at least twice a week I get a call on that, yeah. So. And also to add to that, there are other municipalities that do have formal economic development or community development departments. They either have a village planner on staff, or they have a community development manager, or they have an economic development coordinator. So also given the budget crises now, it does make sense to go more in the route of an economic development intern versus bringing someone on full-time staff. Okay.
So it's not something that other municipalities don't have, that they have a department or they also have economic development interns.
All right, excuse me 1 second. Our battery died on our laptop, believe it or not. That thing's been charging all day. Grab my phone real quick here.
I've got plugs over here.
Yeah.
Should be in the backside, Mayor.
Give me just a minute to get this thing started again for a second.
My face won't come
Here
on.
we go. John's back on.
You don't get an extra gallon in the tank on this thing. When it says the battery's low, she dies right away and stuff, so.
Oh, okay, so we're back now?
Yeah.
We're back now.
All right, so.
Okay.
Anyway, we were just finishing talking about the benefit of a summer intern for the economic development support. Did anyone else have a question on that? Okay, thank you.
And then just switching gears then with I sent an email to the board a couple, maybe 15 minutes ago. I was having trouble logging in before the meeting of banner proofs for the census. I did send out the proofs to the Alsip Complete Count Committee members, and the majority replied that they were in favor of banner number 1. So I'm not sure if you saw them or not, but kind of gives us the green light to move forward and select the banner that we're going to go with.
Okay, so what Trustee Navas-Esparza just said was she reached out to
The Alsip Complete Count Committee.
the Complete Count Committee regarding the census and the fact that we need to get together. We're going to use some of the money toward banners along our main streets. How many approximately, Trustee?
We're looking at anything between 30 to 40.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What 30 to 40 banners, what's the cost on that?
I think with 36, off the top of my head, was about $3,200. But now, given that they extended the shelter in place, I'm going to go back and ask for more, just because also we have a timeline when we have to spend the monies or we have to give it back for the grant.
Okay, so we have a time allotment as well as the cost.
Yes.
So that's $3,200 that we plan to use for that. Do we still have enough money for posters and so forth then, too?
Well, I was able to secure from the U.S. Census Bureau and also SSMMA several paper flyers and posters, and then the U.S. Census Bureau is actually going to send like 6 or 8 foot long banners. How she didn't give me that much of a description, but with grommets that we can also hang around. So I'm trying to secure as much print material
Right. So
as we can, but we will have money left over.
Oh, yeah, because my biggest concern has always been hard to count areas, which I consider are the apartments everywhere throughout town. Somerset, you name it. These are big complexes. And if we get something that's, let's say, I don't care if it's 2 foot by 3 foot, something we can put up in a hallway. I just want to get folks' attention as they're coming and going from their buildings to remind them how important it is to us and stuff.
I have that in my car, so I can drop some off right after the meeting.
Okay.
So I think she gave me about 4 or 5 packets of posters. I'm not sure the dimensions, but they're fairly large.
That's great. So Trustee Navas-Esparza just said that the Census Bureau basically is supplying us with posters so we can focus more attention on banners as well as the kiosks that we did. Did Brian Massari, did he get that kiosk order for us?
Well, that's what's also complicating things. With the shelter in place, it's also
it's slowing down process.
Causing disruptions, and even with the census trying to get me stuff, it's kind of, it might get there where we have to wait until we get the clear to ship it to you.
Okay, because of the shelter-in-place order, our order might be delayed as well, but Brian did tell me that, you're right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then also just, again, the payroll protection program from the Small Business Administration. The second round opened today, so the application is available online, and we also have a link under Economic Development in the Village website. And those are my updates.
Thank you very much.
Good-looking
Hey, Mayor.
banners.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you and I spoke before, and I asked this before. Is there any way that all of us can get on this Zoom so I can hear everybody, and everybody can hear me, even if they're in the boardroom? Because having you repeat everything, we're just making the meetings a lot longer than they need to be.
I agree, but I don't know of any other sound. I can talk to Brian Massari and see if there's.
Everybody gets on their own phone or device.
They have a Polycom.
What's that, Rick?
It's a Polycom is a conference room telephone set.
Okay. Rick, Trustee Dalzell was just saying maybe we can utilize a Polycom. It's basically a tabletop set as a more of a microphone that you can hear more. I'll have to ask Brian if he can work that out for next meeting.
I mean, is there an issue?
Or do we
that
log all the
everybody can't
computers
join
into
the
Zoom?
meeting at the same time? Or, I mean,
They'd all have to be at home to do it.
I would imagine it would be easier for whoever's doing the minutes of the meeting as well.
Well, those are being recorded. We've got a mic right in front of this thing, right in front of this mic. So we're recording this. We're still taping like we always do. But the only other way we'd do it is if we had some sort of a mic in front of it, or like Trustee Dalzell said, like a conference call phone scenario. But I don't know that it would pick up everybody in the room. I can also ask Brian if there's anywhere to have a microphone move with everybody, but then we're doing what we're doing now. We're speaking into a mic as it is.
Or
so.
do we all call in physically from a phone
We'd all have to have a phone sitting in front of us.
or talking on a phone? Right.
So, next would be the village properties. Trustee McGlohorn?
Under Village Properties, we got Roger here to try to sell us on why he needs 6 summer interns.
2 of them here at the Village Properties. They do the cleaning of the HVAC units, they clean the scuppers, they do all the lighting. And again, what I would do is, if it is the 10 weeks, I would ask them to come back in the wintertime to help the cleaning crews do the snow and help clean in the wintertime. For Heritage 1 and 2, that is typically what we do, is 2 at each place. At that, I would reduce that one, because typically we could move that along depending on what it is. But they would be painting the fence this year. The wrought iron fencing, they would help the guys demo, do the planting of the flowers, watering the flowers, maintaining what needs to be done to alleviate some of the issues for my maintenance guys and cleaners.
I have a question as to why we hire Heritage. Wouldn't that be Zeiler doing that?
I don't have an issue with that.
I mean, because they're the property manager, wouldn't the interns work for Zeiler?
They would work for Zeiler, yes.
Is that how it is now, or?
Correct.
Or they work for the village?
They work for Zeiler Management.
Okay, but we hire them.
We authorize the expense.
The board authorizes the expense.
Gotcha, okay.
So can we reduce both of the Zeiler interns to 10 weeks?
Sure.
And leave it at 14 for the Village Hall so they can come back in the winter?
Yes, please.
So, Roger, you're looking for 2 summer people at the Village Hall, 2 at Heritage 1, and 2 at Heritage 2?
Correct.
Okay.
But Village Hall is 14 weeks and both Heritages is down to 10 weeks.
That would be correct.
Anybody have any questions or concerns on that? Okay, that's all I have under Village Properties.
When's the last time did we paint that wrought iron fence?
About 3 or 4 years ago.
Really? Yeah. Hey, while we're on Village Properties, I did make some modification. I had modified down our budget that I sent to all the trustees earlier tonight. I did leave the pool in there. Does the pool have to stay in there? I mean, I wanted to get your take on it. I want everybody to hear what you.
Make you aware of it, the pool was opened on Friday. They pulled the shell back, the cover, and they cleaned it. And as of tomorrow, they will start taking care of it, getting it prepped. Typically, we do open it at the end of the month. I told them to relax it until towards the end of May before we started adding chemicals, just so that I'm not wasting chemical.
I guess what I'm thinking, and I know you said it's been in bad shape, the pool at Heritage 1, right? I know we're not losing a lot, because typically this thing gets opened up on Memorial Day anyway and stuff then too. So, I mean, it's going to be, that's when they're going to lift the shelter-in-place order. I don't know, hopefully that's when they do it anyway, but I don't know what the frequency is going to be yet, but again, with everything we just learned, in fact, that's what I'm putting on the front page of our newsletter coming up. We've learned a lot, much like we did in 9/11, how vulnerable our airports were and so forth. We learned a lot about viruses now and so forth. So, and that's what I'm putting on the front page there. We've actually picked up some good habits, but moving forward on that, it's not necessarily a shortened summer, so it's not going to be my excuse for it. But what do you think the frequency is going to be, and do you think we still need to do it this year?
The pool at Heritage One.
Yeah.
The plan was to shorten Heritage One and that season, September 1st, so that we can get into the remodel, so that we would open up on schedule for the 21 season.
Okay.
Typically, we would go till the second Friday in October with the pools at both complexes. The plan right now is to move it up to September 1st, or roughly that first Friday in September, and then shut it, and then start the demolition and the remodel.
So I get that, but that's what I'm saying. Is it in such bad shape that we can't push it out one more season and do the same thing next year?
I would have to assess it. I can definitely let you know before next week.
Sure.
We do lose quite a bit of water out of that pool.
That's really my question. All right.
And right now, the gate is heaving up because of the winter. Actually heaved all the water underneath, heaved it up, and we've had a mild winter. I will look at it and give you a better idea.
All right.
Because then the second part of the question becomes, is it worth it to even open it this summer?
Right, I mean, is it going
I
to be able to socially distance and limit the number of people that are in there?
I mean, right, if we've got the clubhouse and everything closed, at least for as long as the governor has this shelter-in-place order in, I mean, we don't know that we'll even open it at all. And then if all we're talking about is potentially opening it for 2 months.
For 12 weeks.
Yeah, is it worth
Less.
it?
I could give you guys a better idea. I will stop in tomorrow, take a look at it and see where we're at, get the pumps running and see exactly how much water we're going to give you a better idea of what we're going to be losing.
Fortunately, it's a segregated part. I mean, the largest part of our budget is our general fund, obviously, so it's segregated from our general fund, but it's a $410,000 pool. So, I just had to ask the question. I had to really go through. I've worked on this thing a good part of the week last week. I'm working on. I told Trustee Zielinski I didn't get back to you yet with those building fees because I had to do this in the meantime. I'm not done with that survey yet, but no, there's a lot that we're trying to look at based on the COVID-19. We're anticipating a reduction in revenues. Like again, the state of Illinois just reduced their budget down for this year, $2.7 billion. They're going to do $4.6 billion next year and stuff then too. So, with everyone overall, the country is actually going to be down almost $500 billion, and everybody's got to, with it dialing down that much, everybody's going to pull another notch tighter on the belt. We all got to get a little tight. So. And
we're too small to get any of the federal help.
Well, I tell you what, you know what, Trustee, I actually left a note in the other room with today's summary from the governor's call. There is going to be a second wave of funding coming through pretty soon.
IML believes it'll be coming.
And right now the governor is saying that he's going to really try and put more of an effort to supporting smaller communities because we didn't get anything off round one. So it remains to be seen on how much funding is even available, and if it is, we'll address it when it happens and stuff then too. But he understands that, much like Senator Duckworth told me, told us at one of the meetings I was on, basically we weren't getting anything, as far as the suburb goes. We're on our own, And I tell you, with all the people calling me for masks and so forth, I did reach out the other day even to McDonald's Corporation. McDonald's was telling me about how they donated 400,000 masks to Chicago and the state, and they made $1 million donation to the cause. I said that's great. I praised them for it. I think that's wonderful. But you're much like your popularity of your product. I need a little bit of help, and if you can spare anything my way. And I heard more about what they had done, and I can appreciate their efforts. They're doing an awesome job, but we're trying everything we can to try and find resources right now to help the public, and certainly we're going to be looking to try and help our budgets if possible, and I'll discuss that at the end of the meeting here. So, but thanks, Raj. If you can let us know about the condition of the pool exactly.
I'll send out an email to everybody.
Okay. Ordinance legislation, Trustee Zielinski.
No report this evening.
Okay. And Planning and Zoning and Licenses Committee?
I have that. Excuse me. First, I'll have a presentation of a list of licenses dated April 13th, 2020 through April 24th of 2020. And next, I have a request for approval of case number 2020-03-S-100 for special use to conduct truck repair and the parking and storage of trucks at the address of 11659 to 11701 South Mayfield Avenue. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on Wednesday, April 15th of 2020, and passed this request with a vote of 6-0. Now, Roger, one question I have, though, is according to the minutes and the discussion earlier, is that this motion was passed with stipulations.
Yes.
Can we please get those stipulations incorporated into this so that the board is clear and everybody's clear on exactly what they are?
I will make sure everybody has a copy of it.
Okay, because the minutes don't specify, so I'm hoping you have more details. It just says that the stipulations involve the stairwell, the parking lot, and handicap parking spaces. But we don't know exactly what relates to those. So if you could get us those details to incorporate into the motion, that would be great.
I can definitely do that.
All right, they're trailing off there.
Okay. Oh, Trustee McLaughlin was just saying that as far as the, on your agenda where it speaks to the public, to the special use permit to be awarded to the trucking firm on Mayfield Street, that she wants all of the caveats, all the stipulations, she wanted it included in the actual approval for next week, so everyone understands what's on the table, as well as the firm that's asking for the approval. Much like the tax attorney just said when he was on the horn a little while ago, that they understand they got to get some drainage approved by MWRD yet, as well as some additional asphalt, and they're going to ask for a year to get that work done. And we're fortunate to keep this property on the books because the previous company had retired, and there's nothing there right now, and certainly they'd be running for a vacant tax on that property right now. So we're fortunate to have Louis looking to reinvest in our community.
So, Mr. Early, if you'll include that, and when you send the email, if you both copy Erica and Tiffany both. Thank you.
I will definitely do that. I'm doing it as you speak.
Thank you very much.
I'll certainly let Mary Schmidt know, too, in the enterprise zone, because she likes to stay on top of those things as well, too. People can save on taxes regarding materials and so forth, then, too, with the being part of the enterprise zone. Next, anyone have any presentations, petitions, or communications?
I just reached out to Mr. Frater earlier via email just to verify that branch pickup will resume in the month of May. It had been suspended only in April.
So I wanted to just remind everybody what I had emailed earlier this evening to everyone. I had worked on this with our finance department last week, was a modified budget. And what everybody has in front of them is, and again, for the trustees that aren't here, I'll throw you a hard copy in the mailbox. But you were sent an electronic copy of this as well. But on the bottom line, you can go through and you'll see my explanation of what cuts I was recommending, or if a department head had recommended or approved such. All the names were next to each cut that was made. And then what I also wanted to point out to everybody was the finance department initially had we were anticipating pre-COVID-19 at our original budget that we had talked about for the last few months. We were anticipating approximately $52 million as far as revenues coming in. On the initial budget that I proposed back on, let's say prior to March, the budget was actually at $52,414. And then, I apologize. That'd be great if it was 52,000. That'd be wonderful. But thank you, $52,414,000. And then I had went back and I presented to the board a reduced budget back on March 16th, and I had reduced that number down to $51,474,000. And After all the notices that we've all seen, and actually we've gotten from the state, like I just mentioned, about how they're decreasing their own budgets because anticipating less revenue coming in, our finance director a couple weeks ago mentioned the same to the board, made a presentation, how he and I had talked, and we felt we need to dial this down. And basically, what I did was I made a lot of reductions, and it would certainly be up to the board to review everything that I had reduced, or if a department reduced. And if you wish to amend, certainly we can talk about amending and adding back into it again then too. But currently, I've got the budget down to $49,421,000. So, again, I'm using round numbers for discussion purposes right now, but I want to stay below anticipated revenues because we're anticipating getting less money in fiscal year 21. I know this is a lot to digest. That's why I asked Tom Hoffman. Tom did a nice job working on this. I was upstairs with him for a little while today working on this some more. But yeah, obviously I went line item by line on them this week to identify what's what, and I asked that the board go through this. Did anybody have any questions right now? Did anybody see anything that you wanted to address? Otherwise, we can talk more about it later.
The only thing was when finance director was making his presentation, he talked on the police side with regards to the retirement buyouts. I noted that there was 2 projected. I'm speaking on page 10 of 24. And that's under the account number 101-2040-421-20-70. He had said that that's no longer applicable for the police. However, it's contrary to the CBA for the police department, section 14.4E.
So, I'm sorry. What was the? We're looking at the buyouts for the 2 policemen. You know, Trustee, I'll get back with you. There was a good explanation for. I know you got to go. No, understood. No problem. I hope he's okay. Yeah, well, we can go back to that. Trustee Dalzell was asking about the 2 buyouts for 2 policemen that are going to be retiring, and I can't find the line item on here. I'm looking at the budget right here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's on page 10, the last line.
Oh, there's a line going through it. That's, we struck it out, right. It was $25,000, and it's not applicable. It's what, there's a footnote on the far right that actually wasn't applicable for police with these particular buyouts, and you know what I'll do? I'll send everyone an email. I'll speak with Mr. Olivan again. Just I do. There's so many things we covered here, but I will get an explanation for everybody. I'll send you a reason for that though too. Why we struck out. And Chief Miller agreed with it too. There's a term that we didn't have to include in here. That's all. The fire department has actually got a different type of the way they navigate their contract is a little bit different. That's why there was a buyout for firemen, but not the police. You know what? Give me. Just take a second. Let me fix this real quick right now. All right, I thought I would have got Mr. Olivan. I know he was off today, so I didn't mean to bother him and so forth, but I'll send an explanation back to everyone regarding what the reason was for that, though, too.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I just had questions about the status of yard waste pickup I know residents have been asking.
Everything's been getting picked up. Actually, they never held out on us. I had a nice talk with Ernie Lopez, our representative from Republic. Trustee Zelinski, Trustee Navas-Barza was just asking about yard waste collection. They've been picking everything up for us. Mike Frater and I had a talk with him. I talked to him first. Mike reached out to him, and they picked everything up. I've been putting everything out of my house. They don't know who I am. They're picking everything up.
And they are
Pick up mine.
And they are picking up, I had a neighbor that put it out in the paper bags last week, and they picked those up as well. I'm using toters, but they had put out paper bags, and they did pick those up. The first week, I know they dumped my yard waste in with the regular.
Yeah. So they're getting picky on your side of the street? They didn't pick them all up?
I believe not last week we didn't take them out, but then the week before we took them out. And
You're fine to do that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, put everything out, because they're actually making announcements to many communities, starting at the end of April. They were going to start picking everything up anyway, but they've been doing it already. So if they haven't, I'm sorry they didn't, but they have been picking those up that I know of.
Okay, neighbors were asking, so I just thought I'd ask, just to get clarification.
Right.
They kind of skipped over.
That's why I reached out to Mr. Frater about the branch pickup too, because I've got several neighbors that have branches out waiting.
Yes, with their everything, spring cleaning.
Yep.
So again, I made a lot of cuts, and basically it's just, I want to reduce the spending. I did make a couple of notes. I did want to still consider the fire rescue truck, because, it's got to be one or the other. It's either that or refurbishing a pumper, and I know we can't afford to do both, but let me know your thoughts. If anybody wants to increase something that's off the agenda right now, let me know, and we'll certainly, have more discussion at our next meeting. Okay? Any unfinished business?
Mayor?
Yeah.
Under planning and zoning, you said something about the drainage and asphalt, and it reminded me about a year and a half ago, the property that used to be rented by Yafo.
Right.
We agreed to their terms, and they had to have asphalt and everything done within 6 months. And like I said, it's been a year and a half, and they've since then moved. And the property and the owner of the property still hasn't put the asphalt in that back area. So is Roger still there? Can he answer to this or anything?
I can answer to it too. The reason that happened was the landlord actually sold the property out from under Yafo. Yafo was he's the one that came in and made the agreement with us, and that landlord turned around and basically sold the property out from under him. And the new proprietor is aware of what we're looking for, and they understand actually we got all the approvals from the engineering firm as well as the MWRD, right, Raj?
No, we're still waiting for the state of Illinois. They are presently working with MWRD. I've reached out to Landmark, who is the one that's doing the work. They haven't gotten back to me in the last 2 weeks. I'm hoping that this gets finalized. I know the proprietors are anxiously awaiting, because it would include both lots, because they do own both 12400 and 12500 Cicero. It would include the drainage and the asphalt on both properties. So we are working with them, trying to get this accomplished and move forward. They already have a contractor that is ready and waiting to go. As soon as they have the proper documentation, they will submit their plans with me. We've already reviewed them. Robinson has reviewed them. I've reviewed them. As soon as MWRD gives us the green light and the state of Illinois gives us the green light, we will green light the project. And I'm hoping that it would be done sometime in July, as it is now. But I can't guarantee a timeline at this point.
Because he was in here about a month ago when you and I had a discussion with him. He knows what's at stake.
Correct.
So. Could you hear what Roger said?
Yeah, so it's still supposed to be done even though it's a different owner, correct?
Right.
That is correct.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, the new owner knows what's at stake. He's the same people that own the Impel Union. They've got all that property now, so they're looking to improve their property. They came in and talked to us about the, they're actually going to go with pavers on their side, right?
Well, there's going to be some underground storage. and
Underground
there's
water
also
storage
some
we talked about.
Pavers and asphalt.
As opposed to losing property to a retention pond. So, no, he knows what to do. We've had both owners in here and so forth, but yeah, that whole thing got a little slowed down because of the fact that the landlord sold their property off from Yafo, and it's probably a small blessing in disguise because everything got cleaned up all over again over there then too. So he doesn't have, he's not repairing cars that have been wrecked and being repaired by insurance companies and stuff like that. This will be a better look for us. Even as an industrial community that we are, we're going to see some nice looking trucks out there instead then too, so.
And the new owner is also actually looking at doing some upgrades to the building.
He's actually going to tie two buildings in together, so it's going to look like one big building when you go down Cicero Avenue, which is going to look great. You won't see so many different parcels out there. He's actually going to level off the roofs and everything, so it looks like one big unit when you see this. And he has spent considerable money on that thing yet too.
Yes, he has.
I asked him. I said, "You're gonna like lease out all these offices?" He goes, "No, this is for sales. They plan on selling a lot of trucks, and we're in line to get 1.2% off every one of those and stuff then too." So,
Good thing.
Any new business?
I'm not sure if it falls under new business or under communications, but just seeing how everyone is kind of coping with what's happening with COVID. I know I have friends in the South Loop that at 8 o'clock they kind of all come out and make noise, and I guess it's make noise for like essential heroes and so forth. And I think Blue Island just implemented something, Make Noise, and I think at 8 or 8:15 they all have like, I think, DJs or people just with pots and pans just making noise. So something maybe that Alsip can consider is like the Hearts for Heroes campaign, where we encourage our residents to display either hearts on their windows to show support for essential workers. And essential workers are, your healthcare professionals, police, fire, mailmen, or mailwomen, and also mechanics, landscapers, and so forth like that are working still in essence don't have the option to kind of be at home right now.
That's a great idea. I like that. Hearts for Heroes. Very nice.
Can you repeat that, Mayor?
Well, Trustee Nava-Esparza was recommending, like, different communities are showing different ways of their appreciation for first responders and all the hospital personnel and whatnot. And while some communities, like, everyone's seen the things on different communities downtown where they're playing music and the sing-alongs and this and that. Apparently, Blue Island is doing something like Make Noise at what?
I think 8 o'clock, I think.
8 o'clock on what, a Friday night or something?
I think every night, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's every night.
Wow. Every night. So Trustee Nava-Esparza was suggesting that Alsip promote, and I'm good with that. We can do that.
Something quiet.
Hearts for Heroes, where all windows in Alsip are decorated with hearts for all of our heroes helping out this time.
Maybe we can find just a drawing and put it up on the website so people could print it out at home.
Yeah, and so we have kind of a uniform look, but yeah, but the heart, our heart's a heart, but yeah, we can do something like that, yeah. I'll work on that tomorrow. That's a very nice idea, and certainly, that's a nice idea, thank you.
And they can use anything that you can find. I know some people, if you go on Pinterest, they do construction paper, or there's some really creative people out there. They make like a whole design, like someone holding a balloon and with a rainbow. It's really creative, so kind of nice when people are going out for walks to see something as well.
All right, we'll get that going tomorrow. Thank you very much. Very nice idea.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion then to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, trustees.
Thank you very much. We'll adjourn this meeting at 9 o'clock. And again, everyone have a great evening and stay safe. Thank you.